Hello and welcome. We are looking into the full moon in Aries coming in October the 17th, 2024, after a very pivotal solar eclipse in Libra that we had on the 2nd. All right, so this full moon is going to be a completion of some kind to do with a big theme that has been playing out for the last year and a bit. This has to do with the North Node in Aries. It also has to do with the South Node in Libra, as we still are in the North and South nodal axis, but also coming out of the solar eclipse in Libra while also being in Libra season. So this full moon in Aries is in a way, it's a bit of an initiation. In a way, it's a bit of a completion. You can look at it in either way that resonates with you on your path and where you are and what you've gone through over the last year, we'll say a year since last year we had the solar eclipse in Libra. So say a year ago, what has happened for you? Who are you, Aries? And where do you feel your path has drawn you towards? There may have been a significant shift in direction, especially for Aries sun, moon, rising. Now, you may have had a significant shift in direction, but a lot of us, I feel a lot of us have had some kind of pull to create significant change in our lives. Now, these changes can have to do with our career direction, our destiny, if you want to call it, our path forward, our career, what we are, what we feel we're meant to do, and how we're meant to express ourselves. Aries is all about the me, in contrast with Libra, opposing Libra in the zodiac calendar, which represents we. And so we've had a huge significant change, potentially with a lot of us, to do with relationships. But these relationship dynamics that teach us the most, that are the most difficult, that are the most challenging, allow us to return into who we are, what is important for us. How can we, through relationships, cultivate a greater sense of self, remaining true to who we are and remaining in a sense of agency while also creating healthy and meaningful relationships, or cutting out relationships that just don't serve anymore, that aren't nurturing and supporting who we truly are and what is important for us. There may have been a lot of strength within this knowing, within this understanding of self in the last year for some of us. Now, there could have also been a career path change, a change in career path, a change in identity for some of you. There also could have been relationships and certain situations falling away. Very important to remember when we are on this path, when we are conscious creators, meaning when we are setting our intentions, when we are being clear about what we want, about who we are, then we are going to naturally see things fall apart that no longer serve us. And it may create a lot of difficulties. It may test us. It may create a push and pull between our fears and our inner knowing. It may test us and teach us how to take care of ourself, how to honor ourself and make decisions, maybe hard decisions that we need to make in order to honor our path and who we really are, truly are. And this North Node in Aries that's finalizing, that's wrapping up, is going to be highlighted under this full moon. Now, full moons offer a time of culmination, offer a time of even illumination, can it offer an intense time of a shakeup, a purge within ourselves. This full moon could activate any of those. It could activate an illumination. It could activate a realization within self. It could activate a very intense energy. Now, we've had a lot of solar flare activity in this last week that could lead up into the full moon. We don't really know exactly 100% how we as individuals are going to experience the full moon as it arrives, but do pay attention to the energy, especially as Aries is responsive to the element of fire, is responsive to energy. Aries is a very naturally attuned and very responsive, very sensitive archetype with energy. It can channel really well. It can sense really well. It has a deep understanding or an intuitive understanding based on energy, right? So you can, for some of you, be very sensitive at this time to energy. If this full moon comes in strong, if it is also supported by maybe some solar flare activity or maybe even some other planetary alignments, then we very well could have a very strong full moon to work with. As this is the first full moon in the zodiac calendar, even though full moons do represent some kind of illumination or some kind of ending or culmination, we do have the first zodiac in the zodiac archetype being activated here. So this can also be a bit of a doorway extending from the solar eclipse that we had in Libra. The solar eclipse that we had in Libra on the 2nd was very significant. Pretty much everyone I spoke to, myself included, had been greatly impacted by the solar eclipse in some kind of way. If it was emotional, if it was even psychological, if it had to do with relationships and sense of self, that was a big one as well. And those aspects, the sense of self, relationships, the psychological makeup of ourselves, especially with Libra, all of the mind, the mental aspect, but also under the solar eclipse in Libra, there could have been many different dynamics of ourself being illuminated, being activated, being even purged in some kind of way. There was a lot of energy happening at that time and a lot of change that many of us had experienced. See what is starting to open up for you. Now, it can be slight. It can be a slight doorway into a new sense of self, into a new way of being, into a new way of speaking, into a new way of discernment, into a new way of intellectualizing, into a new way of balance and harmony with certain relationships, seeing relationships more, seeing relationships differently, gaining new perspectives, relationships falling apart and fading away, maybe even aspects or situations that have occurred that have taught you how to be stronger and assertive and more in your power with Aries. These two dynamics are very complementary, but also represent two very different, distinct polarizations of the aspect of relationships versus the me versus the we. These work very much hand in hand. How we can work with interpersonal relationships while not losing ourselves, while not overextending ourselves, while remaining our agency with self, and also creating and cultivating meaningful and balanced relationships around us. So there can be many of these different dynamics adjusting because of what we've gone through over the last year, especially with this North Node or South Node in Libra rather, and the North Node of our destined calling, what our soul is guiding us towards, what we're meant to do, what we feel that we're meant to do on a very deep level, or what is naturally showing up on our path, or also what has faded away or fallen apart in order to construct a new way or a new form or a new experience altogether. And know that challenges, no matter how big or small, offer an opportunity if we are open to see it, if we trust our heart, if we are empowered within ourselves to step boldly into a new path, into a new way of being, even stepping through the challenge, through the fear, through the unknown, through any kind of discomfort that we have within ourselves. When we are daring and bold, Aries, when we say yes to change, when we say yes to ourselves, we will create, we send the signal to the universe that we are ready, that we want something better, or that we don't want this. We don't want to be treated this way. We don't want this type of experience. We want something better. And by going through difficult experiences, that's how we also get to know what we want, right? So by knowing what we don't want, we also are creating clarity with what we do want, with what feels right for us on a deep level, with what is in alignment with us and with what is feeling complementary to who we are. All right, so if you are still going through some kind of change or some kind of difficulty, see the opportunity within it for yourself. What is it offering? And is it teaching you? Is it asking you, inviting you to be stronger, to be more empowering, to stand up for yourself, to make confident choices, to believe in yourself? There may be something here that is teaching you to dig deep for you, and to take charge and to step into your power to make constructive change. Now, this full moon could really be inviting us to create a tower moment for ourselves, perhaps, if it is resonating with you. It could be inviting us to create a bit of a shakeup, maybe to be a bit forceful and a bit confident and assertive with our choices, which may create some kind of shift or change, or maybe a conflict with this Libra energy that we're in, which is avoidance of confrontation, being worried about what other people are going to think, caring too much about other people where we are not honoring ourselves and what's important for us. So pay attention to some of these imbalances, perhaps, that may need to be confronted or may need to be adjusted in some way, no matter how comfortable they are. And if there's fear attached to it, fear of what if I offend someone? What if I lose something? What if something falls apart because I stand up for myself? Well, when you stand up for yourself, and you can do it in the most diplomatic way as possible with this Libra energy that we have, you are sending a signal to the universe that you deserve what you feel you deserve. You deserve what is in alignment for you. You deserve what is important for you. And we can do this in the most gentlest way possible. We can do this in the most dramatic way possible. It's up for us to discern. And it's up for us to also understand our impulses, because this full moon, and especially with Aries energy, can be very impulsive, very hot, very unpredictable. So just watch the temperament. If this is resonating with you, watch the emotions. If this is resonating with you, take a pause. Tap into the Libra diplomat and use that as your advantage to work through situations while still honoring yourself and still cultivating a relationship with your true self and the agency of self. And when we send these signals to the universe, when we stand in our truth, when we honor ourselves, when we make maybe some daring choices and changes in our lives, or things that scare us a little bit or we're worried about, when we really still connect with our truth and we do it anyway based on our truth and what feels right for us, then the change is going to be incredible. Yes, things might have to fall apart. Yes, things might have to change. Yes, there might be confrontation from the other person perhaps, but as long as you are honoring yourself, working with the diplomat of Libra, of course, watching some of the energy, because there can be a lot of trigger moments under this full moon, but working in the way that's in accordance to your greatest good and highest potential, the change is going to align in your favor always, even if it seems complicated, even if it seems like it won't, even if there is doubt. That is normal and natural. We all have these hesitations and fears within ourselves. But when you are connected with your inner truth, and this is what this dynamic has taught us, this Libra Aries axis has taught us, this dynamic within ourselves and interpersonal relationship dynamics, it is time to make this last-ditch effort or change to honor yourself and to let go of maybe relationship patterns or attachments or even reactions to certain relationships, being conscious and aware of how we are reacting as the other person in the matter of interpersonal relationships, how we are reacting to other people and making the change within ourselves, not necessarily with outer people, with the relationship dynamic, but maybe within how we are reacting to certain situations and how we are behaving around certain people or with people to introduce more harmony and balance, while still also, of course, being true to who we are, being true to our own self and our own agency of self. One other thing I should mention is we are in a month 9. The 10th month does have a bit of 1 energy, so we do have a slight influence of beginnings here, especially with the solar eclipse in Libra that we had at the beginning of the month. We do have a bit of the 1 energy, the new beginnings in effect, and I feel this full moon is going to really amplify or allow us to connect with anything that really needs to change right now, that we can dig deep on, that we can ignite within ourselves to make any constructive changes, especially within ourselves, within our shadow aspects. With the full moon, the full moons do highlight the shadowy aspects, maybe of impulsivity, maybe of, it could go either way, of being too me focused or reverse, not thinking enough of self. So depending on where you are, you can incorporate that into your practice. But the full moon is all about understanding our shadow aspects and this dynamic, the Libra Aries dynamic that's in play right now, especially during this full moon. So we do have have the influence of the 9, a universal month number 9. We have beginnings with the 10th month. We have a bit of 1 with the solar eclipse that we had on the 2nd, and the 9 and this full moon in Aries, which is a bit of endings and beginnings. Aries is all about initiation as well. So it's kind of a little bit of a murky dynamic between beginnings and endings. And this full moon will definitely work in your favor. We're back with manifestation practices. You can work on conscious manifestation, release work, being very clear about what you want to change, what you can commit to, and knowing that what you can commit to and what you can engage and ignite within yourself and align with regarding your destiny, what you feel called towards your North Star. You can also connect with what needs to be released. What needs to be released, what habits need to be broken, what needs to be honored within yourself, how can you strengthen the relationship within self, and maybe what kind of relationships need to change in your outer dynamic to honor yourself more. And when you honor yourself more, when we honor ourselves more, relationship dynamics in our outer world will find their balance. If it is healing, if it's restoring, if it is even fading away, falling away, relationship dynamics will find their place. I will also be recording a full moon ritual, which you can use for this full moon. It's going to include an intro going deeper into this full moon. It's going to also include some journal prompts, a guided meditation, and a very specific tarot reading to look into the energy of that time. So stay tuned for that, as I will announce it at a later date. But I'm wishing you all the best during this epic full moon ahead, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care.